In an effort to better inform the residents of Polk County of what exactly the constitutional officers do, we here at PGTV in Polk Place have brought some of the constitutionals in and let them talk a little bit about their mission. Well, today's guest is, one that might be very relevant, because if you've checked your mail recently, you might have gotten a trim notice, and as you look at it, you're going, wow, that's a lot of information to disseminate. Talking a little bit about the trim notices and what the property appraiser's office does is the property appraiser itself. I'd like to introduce you to Marsha Fox. Marsha, how you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning.
We having fun yet?
Oh yes, glad to be here.
What exactly is the mission of the property appraiser?
Well, the property appraiser's office is governed by Florida statutes and the Florida Constitution to place a market value or just value on all properties within the boundaries of Polk County. And so we use market sales, we use cost information, and sometimes we use income and expense information depending on the type of property that we're assessing. And of course, Polk County is very large. You know, we have about 385,000 plus parcels, so it's a big job. And the statutes require us to assess properties every year on January 1. That's sort of our lien date, our start date. So if you could take a snapshot of what the properties look like on January 1, that is the date that we take the assessment as of. And we're a year in arrears. So like for those trim notices that folks just received in the mail last week, they're 2013 taxes, but they're based on, the valuations are based on all the sales transactions that happened during 2012. So Florida's always been sort of a year behind in assessments. It would be difficult to count right up to the day to cut off. If we were using current sales, you wouldn't have an accurate account of 12 months worth of sales. So,
when you talk about the 385,000 parcels that are here within Polk County, over 2,050 square miles. It takes a heck of a staff to do the work that you do. Let's talk a little bit about the folks that work for you. Okay,
great. Yes, we have approximately right now about 102 employees on staff. We did have, up until the past couple of years, with making some cutbacks, we had 114. But we are using technology. I mean, that's the happening thing with our geographic information systems and our aerial photography and pictometry. And we have created an in-the-field application that we use on laptops. So all of our appraisers are using laptops in the field to coordinate the neighborhoods they're in with the mapping to do solid work. Statutes require us to visit each property physically once every 5 years. And then of course we have new construction and everything else. So technology, I mean, being able to snap photos and upload them and make notes on the screen and do all those things in the field is, you know, it's helped us to be more efficient, less paper for the environment. You know, we've had a lot of applications where we've gone paperless, but it is a challenge.
Yeah,
it's a lot of properties to cover, and you know, we've broken down our areas, if you will, in Polk County into about 1,100 market neighborhood areas, because when we're looking at trying to find that market value in a neighborhood, you want to make sure you have homogeneous areas and that you're not comparing, for instance, home sales maybe in South Lakeland or Mulberry to Point Siena and Lake Ashton or downtown Lake Wales or Haines City. Those are different areas, and of course everybody knows in the real estate business location is a huge factor. Location, exactly.
I want to talk. We're going to talk a little bit about the website shortly, and I've got to commend your staff on it. You guys have an incredible website, and the information that's on there is just second to none. But one thing that I want to touch on is people don't realize that each one of the constitutional officers plays a vital role in helping the Board of County Commissioners perform their mission, and the role that you play is very vital in and what the county is going to be able to use financially. Talk
Right.
about a little bit about what you do, and when you're finished with it, where it goes.
Okay. Well, once we arrive at we've done all of our analysis, and the first report that we statutorily have to give our municipalities and our governing bodies, the school board and the Board of County Commissioners, is June 1st. We have to give them a base of what the taxable value is on June 1 so that they can begin to prepare for their budget process to see whether the values have increased since last year or whether they're in a decline. That means whether they're going to have more money or less money. And it puts it to them as the Board of County Commissioners or any city commission to realize that this is the tax base that they're going to have based on last year's millage rate. Are they going to have to look to increase that millage rate? Or perhaps if it's a really good year and values have gone up 30%, perhaps they would want to look at the rollback rate and decrease that millage rate. So we provide them with all of those values and their new construction values on what we call a DR 420 form. And from that happens on July 1st. And then we receive all of those back by August 4th, where they've set their tentative or proposed millage rates and their public hearing times and places where they're going to hold their public hearings. And then once they've adopted that tentative, all that data comes back to our office, and we implement that into the system for any millage rate changes, calculate that, and that's what provides that trim notice that you get. That's not a tax bill, it's a proposed trim that has all the taxing authorities on it and all the hearing places and any changes, compares last year's value to this year's value. And then the county, that's how the county arrives at what their budget and their millage rate is going to be.
Over the last 10 years, I've been with the county for 10 years now, and I've seen properties go from a very high to rate, worth value, and then you've seen the bottom drop out, and now they're slowly climbing again. It's an ever so slow
Yeah, they are. They're slowly coming back. This is the tax roll this year for the Board of County Commissioners was an increase of about 3.64% from last year. So the last 5 years, since 2007, the tax roll has been in a deficit, where for 5 years it was in the negative. And of course, that hurts everybody. So everybody had to work closely together. I mean, all of the constitutional officers have worked closely with Jim Freeman and the budget staff to cut back, all of us, and decrease our budgets and try to be as a team, of which I think that we all are a very good team, working together to try to prevent the Board of County Commissioners from having to raise the millage rate. They have not increased the millage rate for the last 5 or 6 years. It still is 6.8665. So I think that says a lot.
Explain that number and how it comes to a final when you go, okay, at the end of the year,
how
does that number really work?
On your trim notice, where you get down to the bottom line, you have lots of values on there. You've got your market and just value, which is what it would sell for in the marketplace, less than 15% criteria. Then you have assessed value. And when there's a difference between market and assessed, that's your save your homes. So the assessed value is where you get your CPI percent increase, which was 1.7 this year. Then all your exemptions come off of assessed, and it equals taxable. So taxable value is the bottom line that we look at for providing the funds for each taxing authority. So the Board of County Commissioners is 6.8665, would do that times their taxable value divided by 1,000, because millage rate stands for every 1,000 of value is times that rate, equates to the tax dollars.
I feel like I'm back in math class, or even worse,
Oh,
algebra. Yeah.
Oh, well, you should try to figure out how all the different exemptions that we have now.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We'll get to exemptions because
yes,
I got to commend you.
Very challenging.
Yeah, I got to commend you on exemptions. We'll get to those in just
very challenging.
A few. But we'd mentioned that the tax rolls went out. And like I said, I got mine last week, and I opened it up, and I looked at it, and I was like, you know, I just had that old movie line. I'm looking at it, and I'm reading out loud, and my grandson's looking at me, and I'm going, yeah. And I go, you're just talking gibberish to me. Grandson's 2 years old. He goes, gibberish?
I think it's gibberish to a lot of adults, so don't feel bad. It's
how can we help people better understand that?
Well, 2 years ago in the legislature, in session, they decided to change the form of the trim to better display it more clearly so that citizens could better understand what they're looking at. So you have basically a column that says very clearly last year's values and millage rates. And then you have a couple of columns in between that if the board does this or if you do the rollback. But if you go to column 4 is the proposed budget that the board has decided on with the millage rate of 6.8665. And if that budget's adopted and there's no changes, then you just want to simply compare column 1 to column 4. And that stands true for every municipality and taxing authority, not just the Board of County Commissioners. So you really just kind of look at 1 and 4 to see the comparisons as if whether your rate increased or you know, the taxes increased. And then for the assessment evaluation, on the bottom of the trim, there's a place that shows you what our numbers are from the property appraiser's office, is whether your market value last year versus market value this year, and your assessed value and your exemptions and your taxable.
So there's always a comparison to the previous year.
Yes. The trim has to give you a comparison because it has to be very clear as to whether you're having a tax increase or whether you're having an assessment increase.
Now, things that might be not on the rate itself, but maybe added at the bottom, two things that I noticed this year that are there every year are the solid waste fee, or, you know, and of course our fire assessment fee. Let's talk a little bit about how those numbers come about.
Okay, well, we work very closely with the Board of County Commissioners and many of our municipalities in that aspect that statutorily, the property appraiser does not have to perform any applications of non-ad valorem.
No.
The county could send their own notice.
Okay,
but
let's back up a little bit. What is ad valorem?
Okay, ad valorem is your taxes, basically, your property taxes, that taxable value times that millage rate. That is an ad valorem taxation in the state of Florida. Basically for property-owned real estate.
And see, we hear these words every day, and sometimes it's just a second nature that you go like this. But then, you know, when my neighbor comes to me and says, "What does this mean?"
Right. And it's also for tangible personal property, which is our business owners in the county that have assets within their business real estate building that is used to perform their job duties, where, you know, that hopefully they would make an income. But the ad valorem is a value times a rate.
Okay.
Now, the non-ad valorem that we were talking about for solid waste fees and fire fees, those are fees. They're not a rate. They're a flat fee per household. So your fire is a fire flat fee, you know, times a single-family resident is a flat fee. Commercial industrial buildings may be calculated by a square foot.
Square footage, yes.
The solid waste fees are disposal and pickup fee or flat fees. A lot of our lighting districts that the county puts in as far as infrastructure to pay for streets and lighting for our neighborhoods. And then those folks pay for that back in a flat fee over a period of time, maybe 10 years, whatever it's set. Our cities have a lot of non-ad valorem assessments that they may want, like Bartow has their their stormwater. Some of the cities have various, they have picked up and disposal for properties that are distressed. Maybe it's a lot demolition cleanup they send to us. So there's a huge variety, but those are fees.
Okay.
And it should be very explicit on the bottom of the trim of what the budget is for that department. There should be phone numbers to call if you have questions about it. And we have always included that in our office as part of our processing to be on one team, because it would cost the county money and the city's money if they had to send out their own notice.
Yeah.
You can imagine the dollars tagged to that. And I just think it's fair for our citizens to have all of that information on everything you're going to owe on one piece of paper, that trim notice.
One thing that we had talked about is providing customer service. You know, we're slightly over 585,000 people, at least the last numbers that I had seen, and you guys provide incredible customer service, and with time changes, technology allows you guys to roll with the punches and you know, kind of keep up with times and make things more convenient to folks. I remember coming down and right after I bought my house, you know, filling out the homestead exemption, and of course former military, the veterans, you know, all the exemptions, and now as I look online, you know, you have these things available. Let's talk a little bit about convenience to the residents of the county.
Right. Well, I'm very proud of my staff. I have an awesome staff, and we last year it has been my goal for years and years to have applications for online filing. The first application that our staff created was the tangible personal property, where they could go online, click on filing tangible return, set up a profile, get a password, and everything on our website is Digis certified for security purposes, because a lot of this information is confidential. So we're in our 6th year of filing tangible returns, and we've even allowed to where we have CPAs in our county and bookkeepers and all classifications of folks that fill out tangible returns for businesses. So in the last couple of years, we created a file folder profile. And let's just say you were a CPA firm and you wanted all of your clients' tangible returns in your folder, so you could just go to your folder and find everything instead of looking up each individual account. We accomplished that, which has been a great tool for all of our CPAs and bookkeepers in the county. And then this year we went live in January with our homestead application. And it's not just homestead, it's all of the exemptions. If you go to our website and click on under quick links under exemptions, there are numerous exemptions. Homestead, your seniors exemption, widows, widowers exemptions, veterans disability exemptions, quadriplegic. I mean, it's just a list on and on and on and on, okay? We are right now currently the only property appraiser's office in the state of Florida that has an application online that you can file every exemption online, including portability, to transfer portability of Save Our Homes, perhaps from one home to another. So we do have one of the best websites in the state of Florida. And even, you know, our peers at the Department of Revenue, and as I travel around with all the other property appraisers, they're always amazed at what we've been able to accomplish on our website.
One thing I've got to commend is whether it be the Board of County Commissioners or the constitutionals themselves, Lori Edwards, Supervisor of Elections, of course Sheriff Grady Judd, the county's website itself, Joe Tedder, tax collector's website, and of course yours. I mean, they're just all jam-packed with incredible amounts of information, and all the IT staffs for all of them should be recognized and commended. Right,
and we do. And another really cool thing about them is they're all linked to each other. So if you go to the property appraiser's website and you pull up your property and you go into the detail level of your property and you scroll down the page and you get down to where the last deed that was recorded, okay, there's a little blue line there that says the clerk's office. So you can click on the clerk's office and it'll take you right into recording, directly into the deed that is coordinated for that property through Stacy Butterfield for the Circuit Clerk of Courts.
Exactly. I miss Stacy.
Yes. and you keep scrolling down, and you get to the part where the taxes that are due, or last year's taxes. There's a link to Joe Tedder's website to click on, and it will take you right into Joe's site on that same parcel that you're on, and you can look at this year's tax bill once they're posted, or last year's. You can see if that property is paying their property taxes, whether they have property taxes in arrears, or any of that information. So we're linked. I mean, we are, all of us together. Of course, we work more closely with Joe and Stacy because of our relativeness of the recording of the deeds and the taxes and licenses and for tangible asset businesses, and then the property assessments. So it is amazing, and we're all linked either way.
One thing that, of course, the computer age has brought to us is that we're being easily accessible and being user friendly. And how much has Facebook changed what you guys do?
Well, we do have a Facebook page. And our RT staff, Sharonda Knight and Anna Williams, are keeping up with our Facebook. And it's amazing that we've used it. Let me tell you how we've used it, because this is really interesting. We sometimes post stuff that we're looking for someone that we can't find, that perhaps they still have title to property in Polk County, but we can't seem to find a current address or a phone number because all the mail keeps coming back. And we may put a post on Facebook, and it's amazing that somebody will answer and respond back, oh, I know that person. She's moved and she's now in Tennessee, and here's her blah, 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 her number, her change of address. Of how many times that's happened that we've found people and gotten answers to questions where we've just, we've run out of resources and can't figure out any step further to go, and Facebook has helped us.
And of course, there are many different ways to answer questions. Come down to your office, pick up the phone, call, or send questions in Facebook-wise.
Right, Facebook, and we also have the PCPA link on the home page of our website that says "Contact Us," and you can just put your email or your question in there, and we have great turnaround. All that comes back into our help desk at the property appraiser's office, and they're immediately dispersed out to whatever department the question might be directed to. And if you don't get a response back in the same day that you sent it, you need to let me know, because we have excellent turnaround, and that's one of our key things is for customer service, is for you not to have to wait for 3 days to get an answer.
You know what, the coolest thing, I have access that each one of the constitutionals, I have their numbers, and anytime that we do anything media-wise with them, I always call and I always get, I get the assistant. I call your number. You know who answers that phone?
Yes.
That would be you.
Yes, I do.
Answer your own calls, and that is just very cool.
Yes, I just don't, I don't know. I like my own personal, I don't have a secretary. I do all of my own emails. I do all of my own letters. I answer my phone. And people look at me and say, well, gosh, don't you need an assistant or something? And I don't. I mean, I love doing what I do, and I do, people say that you can't ever get to somebody, and I don't want to be that person. I want to be able to say, oh my gosh, just like you just said. I had a call this morning, and the guy says, well, I didn't expect you to answer the phone. And I said, well, my phone is on the website, my direct line, and I answer it unless I'm in a meeting. So I'm proud of that. It's, we're probably only one of the offices left that has an actual switchboard operator. We still have Lydia Watts, has been with our office forever. She does a tremendous job. We probably are the only office left that has a live body answering our switchboard. We're not an automated. Now you might get inside past Lydia.
Yeah.
And a specific person you're asking for may be on the phone, and you'll get their voicemail and leave it, you know, and we'll call you back. But yeah, I'm very proud of our staff.
It's that hands-on approach.
Hands-on.
Yeah, you know, for over, what is it, 2,054 square miles, 300, how many
Yes.
different parcels?
A little over 385,000.
A little over 385,000 parcels and 585,000 residents.
Plus our businesses. We
And
have our tangible businesses. There's a little over 30-something thousand of those that we're still, there are more than that, but the tangible accounts, since the exemption, most of them have zero taxable value since the legislature implemented the 25,000 exemption. So we just have to basically deal with those remaining that have value. Is the reason I say, don't take me wrong, that that's only the number of businesses we have.
Well, Marsha, thank you for coming in today, and I appreciate
thank you.
all the information you gave us.
I appreciate the invite.
All right, and anytime that you guys have anything going on, you're welcome to come back, and
Okay.
you and your staff
Will
do
do.
an outstanding job.
Thank you very much.
And,
We're proud to be here.
And if you have any questions about the Polk property appraiser, it's a very simple process. You may notice that you've just gotten that trim notice and your head's spinning and you're going, wow, I can't read this. The cool thing about it is the folks at the property appraiser's office, Marsha and the staff is there to help you. Very simple process. You got questions, give them a call. You got, you want to run and say, hey, maybe it's easily understood. You take your trim notice to them and they can explain it to you just a little bit more. They have 3 different locations if you have questions. They have a Bartow office at 255 North Wilson Avenue. That number is 863-534-4777. Their Lakeland office is at 912 East Parker Street. You got questions, you can call them there at 863-413-2549. And they also have a Winter Haven office at the Gil Jones Plaza. That's at 3425 Lake Alfred Road in Winter Haven. That number is 863-401-2424. And of course, the website is always www.polkpa.org.